So the next suture we're going to demonstrate is a continuous suture, and this normally begins just like our standard interrupted. Short end away from you, grab the short end must end up back. Now here, when you're in theatre, you just pull up the short end, and you press down the long end so the assistant knows not to cut that. And essentially, now, instead of doing this, we keep the suture running, and we take bites which are of similar size, again supinating the hand. You must always pick the skin edge up away from the underlying tissue so you don't grab anything inadvertently. This is slightly more difficult in this model than it would be in real life, so if you can do this, in real life it will be much easier. And by taking equal bites, the wound closure continues in this direction. Now, the main advantage of doing continuous suture like this, as you can see, that it saves time because you don't have to put knots in every time. But the real issue or the problem with running continuous suture like this is a tension suture, because you need lots of tension in order to get the skin edges. It's very difficult to get the tension right with every bite, and so for accurate stitching, which is what most of us tend to do for plastic surgery, we tend to use interrupters, and continuous are rarely used, apart from often deep down inside, for example, when we're doing abdominal plastic closure and we're trying to get the rectus sheath back together. And just to show you one other variant of this, which you may need to come across, is essentially a locking continuous. So here, once you've ran your suture through, ordinarily that's where the suture would run, but here the suture then runs through and back on itself, and what that does essentially is locks the suture like so. And we're going to run another one and you'll see what that does. And the reason to lock the suture, again, for example, when we are repairing the rectus sheath in an abdominoplasty or plication, it's a much stronger way, and this is not going to slip once you lock it. So you've gone back through yourself, so there's a lock on the system, and that's the way it should sit. It also allows a slightly more eversion, and in reality you'd get the sutures to lock a lot easier than here because the tissue is stiff, is not behaving quite. So again, you get your loop, you bring your needle round again, and that will lock your suture, something like that.